Let's go, bro.
3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woo-hoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into, start right, good line, good view, it drew.
It's like 1:30 in the morning, and we're headed 550 miles, approximately, to the Pine Barrens.
Shooter McGavin, 2 thumbs that's up high and 2 fingers pointed at you, pew pew. Fairway to green, conk off that I'm playing. Sometimes these par 3 green look like an island. I'm playing.
Let's jump in if you're cool with it, Mark. Can you maybe just kind of give us an idea how Kraken got started for you? We were kind of chatting golf a little bit, but how this whole world kind of came to now, and now you're creating pieces with Miura. Can you kind of give us the start and sort of bring us up to now?
Sure. So I started, Kraken specifically in 2017. Before that, I actually had another company called Next 18 Golf, which I did those big aluminum billet type belt buckles that were popular in tour back then. So I had a partner, one of my best friends, Darian. We were doing it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And, we just had other stuff going on in our lives. And I decided to start a new brand that was different. And that's where Kraken came out of, where I wanted to focus more on my art, if you will, where Next 18 was just about, let's just produce belt buckles, right?
Right.
So Kraken, I was on my own, single man shop, still am. I don't have anyone else. I do everything. And it's been quite a number of 7 years now of just every single week making a brand new product, which when I went to business school was never told to me to do that. It's not a best practice, I guess. But that's what I find interesting. I don't want to mass produce anything, like for me, it's art. As soon as I stop making more than like 50 or 100 pieces, I start getting bored. It becomes like a manufacturing sweatshop type job. And that's not what I'm in this for. It's about art. Like for up to me, I'd make less, but at the same time, I got bills to pay, machines to pay off in the other room. So I got to produce some stuff. But for me, it's art. It's about making stuff that, I don't know, no one's ever seen before. I mean, success for me is somebody tells me they pulled something out on a golf course and guys like freaking out, like, where the hell did you get that thing? And that's what I go for, over engineered pieces. Because I mean, let's be honest, nobody needs a $200 ball marker, right? You can use a penny or whatever, right? The difference is it's something that's artistic, that's functional, and it's completely over engineered to give the end user like a wow factor when they whip it out on a putting green. And guys just want to know, where the hell did you get that thing? I want something like that. And that's kind of where it's taken me to today. It's just, how do I, next week when I sit down to design the next drop or release, how am I going to get that wow from the end customer? And that's my goal.
You're speaking to a couple pretty big ball marker fans here, Mark. So
Yeah.
I would I might say there is a need for some of these incredibly expensive pieces of metal, but it, like you said, it's a piece of art, right? There's quite a few in my pouch that I look at as like truly pieces of art, and some of the conversations that we've had in the past, the same thing. Has your background always been art, Mark?
No, I mean, like I mentioned, I went to business school. I have an MBA. I was climbing the corporate ladder for a long time in software. So I've been in the digital market space for quite a long time, advising customers in online channels, some of the biggest companies in the world, on how to gain market share, how to produce content that is effective in a digital marketplace. So a lot of what I've kind of brought to Kraken is what I've learned having conversations again with some of the biggest companies in the world in an e-commerce perspective, and understanding how can I tack some of that and bring it down to a macro level of a small business, solopreneur type business, but use some of the same learnings and best practices, that some of the biggest retailers in the world would use. So that's my background, is coming from that. And then, I don't know if you guys have ever done that climb the corporate ladder stuff, but it's just not fun. For at least for me, it wasn't. I enjoyed having conversations with customers and getting to know their business and sharing what I've learned with other customers with them. Like that was the fun part for me. But the rest of it of just trying to climb and everybody's trying to get that next role above somebody else and I didn't really want to work for anybody anymore. I wanted to work for myself. I felt like I had something to give that if I worked for myself, I could give it out easier than working for somebody else where it was just, I don't know, it just wasn't for me. So I love being on my own, running my own business, making my own hours, deciding how I want to spend company money, where I want to take a product line. All that freedom is just phenomenal compared to my background, where I came from.
Yeah, it's such a like a polar opposite almost. And Bryce and I've had that
Yeah.
conversation so many times with people where, I think of like cousin clubs, like the first one that comes to mind. So he does like the really like cool like handcrafted like divot repair tools and stuff. And I kind of think about how he was like he worked in like sewer tech essentially. Like he was
Yeah.
like working underground, like whatever it was, 12, 16-hour days. He was saying like just dirty all the time, just like, a high, just like a high stress job, like a lot of like labor. And then kind of had the ability to start turning like really cool hand pieces and like now that's what he's doing, right? So it's kind of
Yeah.
cool to hear those like different stories and how everybody finds like a different way to find their way into the golf space. And it's kind of
Mhm.
it's just it's like really refreshing to hear too that somebody's just like, I really don't want to do this every day, don't want this to be my life. And like, here you are 7 years later, 8 years later almost, and we're creating some of the best, like you got some of the best looking pieces in the game, man. Like
Yep.
Thank you.
we get to talk to like some really cool creators, and like it's right there. I wanted to ask you, Mark, so did it start with like your putters? Was that kind of got you into it? Like I know when you moved on from like the belt buckles, was it into like ball markers first, or were you like kind of into the putter space first?
It was ball markers and divot tools for sure.
Okay.
Probably for 2 years before I crafted my first putter. Part of it was limitations in machinery. I just didn't have anything that was industrial grade enough from a torque perspective to really, um, you know, mill some chips off stainless steel or something along those lines. So I was confined for the most part to ball markers and divot tools. I still did some belts here and there. I think my first putter was 2019, um, and I still have it. It's actually on the shelf over there. I mean, it was okay. It was made of copper. First time at it. Just kind of replicating designs that were already out there from other makers, and pull it together. It worked fine. I used it for a season, and then I had somebody that reached out to me that I had played a round of golf with, and asked me if can you make me something like that? And it was the first time someone actually asked me to do it. So I made him a putter. He loved it, and it kind of just went from there. I just started fine tuning it and made it somewhat more of a focus than it maybe was in the early days. And then today, where like hopefully next week, I'm going to drop a release of 5. And in 2025, I have some really, really huge plans in terms of putters. So, but yeah, no. To answer your question, there's the smaller tools that started me off where I really wanted to make art, like intricate pieces of ball markers and divot tools, and that was kind of the starting point for sure.
I just want to dive in a little bit to what you said there when the guy you played with said, "Hey, can you make me one of these?" Because I kind of feel like a lot of creators kind of that catered in this industry kind of always get that question to where it's like they don't really realize they made something really, really cool until someone kind of comes at them and says, "Hey, I want one of those." And then it kind of takes off after that. Do you want to just go into that a little more about how that kind of clicked when someone asked you if they wanted one of those?
Well, I guess when I first started, you make ball markers and divot tools. You're not really affecting somebody's game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think initially I was, kind of hesitant to stay away from putters because, I don't know about you guys, when I play golf, I want to go low, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thing I want to do is to be somebody that makes something that might prevent somebody from achieving whatever their best round could be. So, for me, it was just easier. Let's just stay with ball markers and divot tools early on. I'm not affecting anyone's game. It's just really a piece of artwork they're going to carry in their pocket, use a couple times during a round, and that's it. And then at some point, like I made a putter for him. I made another one for me, and I finally started fashioning putters that just fit my eye, and I felt comfortable over them. And then it just kind of spread from there. Others would ask, and people would always want to use my putter. The copper one I made is pretty unique. So if you ran up to me on a golf course or played around with me and saw it, you would look at it and be like, "Can I try that?" It's just
Mhm.
different and interesting. Um, so I think that's kind of where it took off from. But yeah, I mean, initially it was like, how can I get involved in this? But again, I don't want to affect somebody's game, and it was a little bit safer at first to kind of stay with ball markers and divot tools, and eventually, like in anything else in life, you start gaining confidence, and then now it's like I think my sticks are sick. Like I
Yeah.
have no problem with anyone playing with it. They're tried and true now. They've been out in the market for 5 years, so um, you know, having that confidence now is easy. It's just one of those things you're going to gain through repetition, and repetition, like anything else, makes you better. The putters I make today are way better than the putters I made 3 years ago, and I'll probably say the same thing 3 years from now.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Bryce and I. Like, if we look back on our episodes from 3 years ago, Bryce, we might think we're a little bit more polished now, just like a new putter. But it's the idea of just having that confidence to have somebody want one of your pieces has got to be something special. And
Yeah.
I get what you mean, like with the idea of you don't want to affect anybody's game. I think there are golfers out there who the score is less relevant and they kind of really might like fashion pieces in their bag. I think the game is kind of moving that way a little bit now. I
Right.
do think like we all still want to kind of keep in mind like our score, playing fast and kind of keeping the game moving and stuff. I know that pace is a big topic right now, so we'll drop that in there right now. But I think the idea of getting a piece that visually you can stand over and looks appealing to you has always been something for me. I've always liked the specific shape. I've been very much a feel putter, and then I
Mhm.
think when you put the specs on whatever you like whether it's a certain toe hang or something like that, you're going to visually want to roll something that looks good and that fits your eye. At least,
Mhm.
to some people, pretty much all when it comes to the putter. I think there's a lot of talk about technology in the putter industry right now, and it's kind of a debatable point for sure.
And in some parts of the golf season is wrapping up, but there's no better time than now to stock up for next season or cross a couple items off the holiday checklist for the golfer in your life. Black Friday sales are available at fullwedgegolf.com. Up to 30% off November 15th through the 30th at fullwedgegolf.com.
If we take it back to like some of your early pieces, Mark, do you remember kind of some of the things that you started with when you branched off on your own? You went to kind of the ball markers, you went to the divot repair tools. Like, do you remember the first ones that you kind of like the first batch that you dropped?
Yeah. Excuse me. First batch were these money bag ball markers made out of brass. Um, they were they were intricate but simple. So I mean, today my designs, I try to inlay the hell out of them, right? Like I'm throwing wood in, I'm throwing leather in, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But back then, it was just I wanted to mill a monolithic type piece that was somewhat complex and not a simple round ball marker like you would find at any golf store. So yeah, it was a money bag. It had engraved cavities. I didn't paint fill it. I didn't do anything other than high polish. And it was very simple in terms of from a finishing perspective, but the design was kind of classic, probably needs to be brought back. I've had many people ask me about the money bag ball markers. That and one of the other ones that was popular early on were the cans of whoop ass, which was based off a Campbell soup can. And I haven't done one of those in quite a bit of time as well. But it was simplistic. In some instances, not really golf themed at all. I guess if you look at most of what I've made, at the end of the day, it's really not golf themed at all. It's
Yeah,
other aspects.
I love that though. I love like sorry to interrupt. I love like bringing those like like I'm thinking of like as you're talking about that, I'm thinking of like the Banksy art pieces and stuff. Like I love bringing kind of that cool piece of art like into the golf space and just being able to like show a little bit of like what you like on the course that doesn't have anything to do with golf. I love that, Mark. That's so cool.
Well, I also love the fact of, sorry, I kind of jumped in here, but I also love the fact of like if I'm spending money on something custom that like I enjoy and put it on the course, and the minute someone says, "Oh, what is that?" That is awesome. Like that's just that fulfills everything within like getting that market. That's exactly what I want. I want it to be a talking point. I want people to say, "Whoa, where'd you get that? That's really cool." Like I think that's why people enjoy the customization of golf so much. Is like it's so personal and they want people to talk about it or ask about it. That's what I think is that's what I think it's all about, honestly.
Yeah, I use that a lot in a lot of my creatives, like in ads and stuff on my website, and it's conversation pieces for the
Mhm.
putting grade. That's kind of my little catchphrase because at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to create. I'm trying to create an icebreaker, right? You're paired up with some folks that maybe you haven't played golf with before. It's probably pretty easy for a lot of people to find something to talk about, but I like to just whip something out and just like, hey, have you seen something like this before?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just cool. The collector community is awesome. A bunch of great guys that kind of share that same passion. And I've been lucky enough to been introduced, and a couple of them have just organically come across my stuff on Instagram or the website, and it's such a cool community of guys that like want to come together, talk golf, talk about cool items like that, gadgets in golf. Yeah, and it really is a conversation starter. That's exactly what I would term is one of the reasons I even create it. Is just to get that conversation going. It's just an interesting way of doing it.
Mark, when you're kind of like creating an idea, I imagine you have like a note on your phone with like a ton of cool ideas. Like I do that, like as we're kind of going through podcast stuff when we have like different topics to talk about. But can you take us through like the inception of a piece, like when you're ready to like create that piece, like the thought of it, kind of putting it down onto paper, and then eventually like getting to the point of where you're kind of dropping it on the website or doing a release with it?
Yeah. I'm very spontaneous with stuff. So um, I usually go into Monday morning knowing I need to make something this week for a drop, and a lot of times I have no direction at all. I'll literally just kind of get on the computer. A lot of times I get my inspiration at the gym. I'm a big gym guy in the mornings, and I'll just be thinking about stuff I've made in the past. Can I tweak something, make something a little bit different? Is there something going on in my life that's influencing me right now? Um, but I'm very spontaneous about it. There's not a whole lot of planning. I'll come up with a basic concept of something with no idea where it's going, and I'll just kind of let it go. A lot of times I'll I'll get to the point where I don't even know what material we're going to make this thing out of. It's already done in CAD. I already know what it looks like in my head, but maybe I haven't even decided what am I using steel, am I using brass, am I going to use leather or wood for inlays or so it's very spontaneous. I don't like being confined is the only way I could describe it. I like the ability to pivot. There's been many a times I've come up with a design, made 4 or 5 prototypes. I look at them like, oh, this isn't going to work. Trash. It's very and I'm very particular about it. Anything that has my name on it, it has to be exactly what I envision or what I perceive someone else would envision as having value. And as soon as I feel like it's not, it's gone. And it's funny because my wife's always coming in the shop, seeing what I'm up to, and she'll look at pieces and be like, "Wow, that's one of the coolest things you ever made." I'm like, "Really? That's actually trash." Because I just it has to be exact, or and it's weird. Like you'll go through periods. I have periods where I call it writer's block, where I'll go 3 or 4 days and I just can't come up with anything. And that's why I start surfing the web. I'll go on Pinterest. I'll go on EDC type websites and look at worry coins and see what other people are making, trying to spur some inspiration. And sometimes it's difficult. It really is. And especially when I'm trying to make something new every single week. So it's new product design constantly, but it eventually gets there. I figure it out somehow. It just clicks all of a sudden, and then it just go. It's go time at that point.
And you
If
said like,
anyone's watching on YouTube and watching me and Mac just on our phones, I'm sure he's doing the same as me and just scrolling on this Instagram account of just many different shapes, sizes, colors, everything. So you can kind of scroll through this page for hours. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
yeah, one of my former lives, I was not that I don't go to the gym anymore. I was just like a full blown like, you know, like I would go every day. I was like a gym rat, a meathead, whatever you want to call me. But so I love the weight plate. Like that one is one of the coolest ones to me. Like the little weight plate ball marker. I love that
Yeah.
thing. And the crayon is like a staple, right? Like the
Yeah, the
crayon's kind of
crown's good.
it's like probably like it's got to be one of your most purchased pieces, if not the most. Like it seems like it's out there like all over the Instagram. Like I see it all the time.
Mm.
Um, any pieces, Mark, that like really stand out to you in the collection that you're like really proud of?
Um, I mean, probably some of the putters, especially some of the putters over the last year, where I've spent a great deal of time just adding as much detail into putters in little areas, like little inlays that actually have another inlay border around it. So I had a skull putter that had some of that. Doing different techniques on the faces of putters. Um, what I've seen probably over the last 6 months is a lot of customers are looking for smoother faces are kind of coming back in vogue a little bit. So, which is great for some of the type of work that I want to do in terms of adding art to the putter face. From a ball marker perspective, I mean, last year I had for the Phoenix Open, I did a Oscar and a trash can lid, which was just pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
It was such a grind to put that piece together. I had to cut out the little trash can handle out of stainless steel and then bend it to the right shape and weld it on the top of the ball marker. So there was so much that went into that. And, I wish I did a better job of kind of capturing that because when I get into that flow of making, the whole time thinking to myself, I should be video and taping this. I
Yeah,
should
and
be,
you're just rolling, eh?
and it's just like I want to do this right now. I don't, I want to share it with everybody. I almost feel like I need to hire like a film crew to come in here and just like follow me around the space so that I don't have to worry about that aspect. But again, being a solopreneur and trying to do that and hit deadlines, and these deadlines are my own deadlines that I've set where I don't want to disappoint customers. If I make something, I want them to get it within a week. I don't want it to be a month and a half, because the novelty of it kind of wears off if it's too long, right?
Mhm.
And everybody's like immediate gratification with Amazon in the world. Like you buy something, it's at your doorstep the next day. So to let something linger much more than 3, 4, 5 days, like I start feeling like an internal alarm system saying, yeah, you got to get this pizza out the door to people.
Mhm.
So with that said, it makes me focus so much on let's get this done as fast as possible with the quality that I like, but it leaves little time for doing the amount of video or photography that I really should be doing to kind of show the amount of level of work that goes into some of these pieces, which is just probably stupid. But I enjoy doing it though, so it's not like a job, right? I enjoy doing it, like welding all those little hand lids on the garbage can lid was phenomenal. Every time I did it, I was like, wow, this is freaking cool.
Yeah,
You know?
this putter with the cherry blossom branch in the neck is fantastic. I think it looks just amazing, and I mean, just hand painting the little leaves, even just, and
Yeah.
then all the little logos on the bottom too. Like you said, you're trying to cram stuff everywhere you can. I think it turns out phenomenal.
Yeah, that was my gamer last season. I don't
Looks
have it
good.
I don't have it anymore. But yeah, no, that was a great piece. I mean, that's kind of a focus area for me for next year is maybe doing a little bit more in terms of mallets. So I
Nice.
have that one there, which is the Truro. Um, I have a kind of a more of a moon shaped mallet that I've been kind of stirring over, and then I got Mark crazy stuff in the back of my head that I want to produce that um, probably wouldn't show up as a technical putter by any means because of shapes and so forth. But from an artistic standpoint, and I know I can play anything. Like, just give me a putter, 2 or 3 days with it, I'm fine. I don't need anything crazy technology wise. So, but in the back of my head, I have to keep that in my head that there's some folks that are not field putters like me, and they like technology. They like to see certain shapes to be comfortable with the ball. so sometimes I need to rein myself in a little bit in terms of some of the designs I want to go with stuff like that.
I
Yeah.
think some new designs are cool though, like some funky things. Because I mean, me and Mac were talking the other day. It's like even these custom putter makers, all everyone that does it, like it's still hard to find a very unique shape. You know, they're all very similar in a way because you're kind of limited because it's a putter, right? Like there's only so
Yeah.
much you can do. But I think I'm eager to see putter builders innovate and find new shapes and funky designs. And I think that's like Max said, kind of the artistic side of the golf. But I think I would like to see some putters go in that direction. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah,
I
no, absolutely. I mean, I'm all for that. I think that there's room for that in the space.
I agree.
Um, there's a lot of guys that do that focus on technology, right? Um, and there's a place for that, right? I mean, for me, like I mentioned, I'm a field putter. I'm all about. I need to see a shape or a design that feels comfortable to my eye. The rest of it, whatever, it doesn't really matter to me as much. But everybody's different, right? So it's one of the challenges in this business is how do you produce art that's functional but cater to an audience that desires are so dramatically different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, and that there's an art to that as well, making products that speak to an audience or a segment that's so diverse. It's difficult. It's a
Yeah,
big
100%.
challenge for sure.
so I'm gonna do my piece where I'm gonna first. Well, actually, first, Mark, whereabouts do you live?
Cushionet, Massachusetts, home of Titleist. Hi,
Okay.
Titleist.
Okay. So anybody who's in that area, if you're listening to the pod by chance and you're like a videographer and you want to do some work or fill out your portfolio, whatever it may be, give Mark a follow, reach out to him and go do a little bit of work in the shop because I think we all deserve it because one of my favorite putters is it's hard to like see it on the camera here, but I'll move it over. But man, the carbon steel Yarmouth. That one is
Yeah.
like I keep going back to that one on the webpage. So I'm gonna link the webpage below. That was kind of where I was getting to. The Instagram, you can get lost for hours like Bryce and I have. But that one like stands out to me. The shape, kind of like you said though, I'm a field putter, so I like that look.
Yeah.
You know, we're hearing so much like in the golf space about some specific companies that are creating like more and more technology and face balance technology, and I think there is a space for that for everybody. Like there is, our games are all very different. I hit the ball on the other side of the tee box than Bryce does, so it's like completely different. We all played a little bit differently, but man, some of these things are beautiful. So go have a look. When you do a drop, Mark, you usually do about five. Are they all the same putter? Is each putter a little bit different? Can you kind of speak to like your putter drop specifically?
Yeah, so the next one that's coming up, there's going to be five. They're going to be essentially all the same. Um, but when I say the same, like they're all going to be very intricate. I mean, I didn't limit myself on this one. Let's say that. But usually when I do drops, they're diverse. Like I'll do three or four. I'll do maybe different head shapes. The themes will be different on them. Um, but I'm trying to get a little bit more out there this year or in 2025 than maybe I've done in previous years. And obviously, the easier way to do that is to um, you know try to keep the designs a little bit more the same in terms of a release. So I mean, it's still small quantities. They're going to be one of five you're going to get
Mm-hmm.
in the world. Um, but yeah, I mean, maybe we'll go a little bit higher. But one of the big things I want to do for 2025, and I was talking to one of my good friends. He's a customer, but I would call him a friend now. Is doing more of an experience next year around putters. So I have a new shop that just got completed this past summer. It's not my personal garage like it's always been before, and now I want to invite the community in, right? And maybe have a putter day where a couple guys come in, we craft a couple putters during the morning, and then the afternoon, we go out and play a round of golf and build like an experience like that.
Love it.
I know there's others out there that do larger type events. That's just not really me. I want to get to know folks that collect my stuff more on a personal level. Spend some one-on-one time. Let's play a full round of 18. Spend some time in the shop. See how I make things behind the scenes in person. So that's something I'm looking forward to setting up in 2025.
That's a super cool idea. I love that.
Yeah, I love like I've been lucky enough to see like I was able to go down and pick up like one of my latest putters, so the one that's kind of in my bag right now, and just the experience of like seeing the maker in the shop is it's something special, man. Like just seeing somebody create like in your case functional art, like pocket art that we can bring to the golf course with us. It's special, man. There's just something where it's I'm always kind of like in awe of people who have that like that really strong ability to bring whatever the different parts of their lives are, or their thoughts kind of into the golf space and create something that like is so cool. Even just something as simple as like the crayon, but like
Yeah.
it's just such a cool piece. It's Movember is upon us, and Full Wedge just dropped 4 pieces with 15% off all sales, going directly to help raise awareness of men's health issues such as prostate cancer, testicular cancer, men's suicide. We've got a polo, a hoodie, 2 hats. Visit fullwedgegolf.com. Be part of the solution. Do you typically do like so you do like a weekly drop, Mark, with all of your items, and you said there's upwards of about 50 if you're doing like a ball marker. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's pretty typical. In some instances, if it's very, very intricate, I might do a drop of maybe 10 or 20,
Okay.
um, just because it just takes a long time to make a very intricate piece. But I would say my average drop is 50. Sometimes it gets to 75 or 100 if it's something a little bit simpler or faster to make, but nothing more than that. I mean, it's funny you mentioned Miura. The Miura drop that I did with them a couple weeks back, that's probably one of the biggest drops I've ever done, which was 150 pieces for them. Um, and that great piece, but like took some time off my life probably.
Yeah, like I was definitely that's exactly where I was going when I was talking about the pieces, because as soon as like we got talking, we were kind of chatting a little bit last week, and then I saw you drop like the reel with Miura, and like there's something about the way that they're cinematic like
Yeah.
way of capturing their like Bryce, you know what I'm talking about when they do like the reels. They got like Adam Scott and the over in
Yeah,
Japan. Like
I
it's just
mean,
like there's something about it. It like kind of catches your eye, and I think they're kind of like the industry, like the gold standard in the industry for like craftsmanship, right? So how did you get kind of like hooked up with them? How did you get the opportunity to work directly with them?
Yeah, no, they reached out to me sometime over the summer. I think they had noticed that I do a lot of drops of Japanese theme type products and so forth. So there was maybe some natural synergy there. I just have such a huge respect for that culture. I just find it very interesting. Um, and yeah, they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want to do something pretty cool, something different with you, and let's figure something out." And I will say that they were great to work with. I mean, we went back and forth with a couple different designs that I had in mind, and for the most part, they gave me a lot of artistic freedom, and it takes a lot of trust. I mean, they're obviously a large, well-established brand, so for them to take a chance on a drop and put their name on something that I'm creating here in my little shop, I mean, just respect. Like it's just that's all I could say. I was just flattered that they would even come to me to do that, and I heard from them since then. It went great. Stuff flew. It went better than they intended. It sold out in a couple hours. So I mean, it was better than they even thought it might be. So, and I appreciate my community there. So I mean, obviously, I marketed it as well for them to my audience, and those guys are, they're just freaking awesome. I mean, they knew it was a big opportunity for me and to show out, and it wasn't an inexpensive tool by any means either. So I was just very grateful for that opportunity, and to all the people that support me that came through and help make that a success.
Do you enjoy that, Mark? Like, do you enjoy the collabs, like working with other brands and other, like whether it might be like a golf brand in this case or like other creators? Like, have you been able to kind of touch on that stuff like in the past 7 years or so?
Yeah, yeah, no, I love it. Right. I mean, for me, it's it, when anybody reaches out and wants me to make anything, I mean, I'm still humble about it. It's just to
yeah,
me, I'm just some guy that started doing this 10 years ago, right? So I'm still kind of there, right? So it's humbling, especially when a brand like that size comes out and says, "Hey, I want to do something with you." It's just like it's the optimal, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I say this to people all the time. Like the best compliment I ever get is really from non-golfers, and I get them a lot. Like they'll just folks that are just surfing through Instagram. My stuff makes it on a feed, and they might not even be a golfer, and they'll just reach out to me and be like, "Dude, like, I don't even know what this thing is, but it's cool and I want it. Like,
Yeah.
what is it?" You know, and like, there's nothing better than that because it's. I mean, golfers can certainly appreciate it because we all know what those things are, but for somebody to be moved enough to reach out and be like, I don't even know what this thing is, but I just want it. I want to hold it. I want to touch it. It just looks cool. I want to put it in my pocket or put it on the wall or whatever. It's just, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, to your question about collaborations, though, I like getting exposure to other audiences that maybe don't know about me. And
Mm.
someone like Miura is like a great opportunity. They have a huge audience, and it's not just an audience in the U.S; it's a global audience. So to get some level of exposure to that, and again, just for them to come to me and ask, it's just I'm all in on collaborations. I just think it's cool. I love to do them, especially when they give you the amount of freedom that Myura did with me and let me kind of, go into my little space where I could figure something out for them that I thought would be cool, and they agreed, and it was just a great collaboration.
Well, I also think it's awesome because there's such a prestigious company, right? I mean, the TaylorMade's, the Callaway's, I mean, nothing on them, but they're pumping stuff out left and right. I feel like Miura is so precise and so perfect on all their irons and all their equipment that they bring out. It's such like that prestigious company. And I think that's just so cool that they came out to you because they kind of see your work in their prestigious, I don't know what the word
The
is, but they're,
craftsmanship, like the craftsmanship
yeah,
is
like
like is
exactly. That's the
second to
word.
none.
Like
Yeah.
they see your craftsmanship on their scale, which is fantastic because their scale's up there, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinions too. So I think that's fantastic. You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah,
And
man.
thank you. It was just, yeah, it was great experience all the way around for real.
Golfers in the golf space, like especially ones that are kind of listening to us, like, 30, 40 minutes into this pod are obviously like really interested in like craftsmanship and they know the
Hmm.
name Miura and they're like it's no secret that they're like I said, like they're the gold standard in the golf space pretty much for like forging, right? And their craftsmanship is exceptional. It's like there's just something about like I played Strixons for a while and like the Japanese like I don't know, just the Japanese forging is just it's just different, man. So being involved in
Yeah.
that has to be kind of special. I assume like when that DM kind of came up or that email onto your on the website or whatever it might have been, that would have been a nice moment, man. That would have been
Yeah.
something that leading
Yeah.
up to that 7 years in the making, that would have been a really nice moment for sure.
Well, that's why I need the video crew here because, like, when those types of moments happen, like, I'm literally like, jumping around, like,
Yeah.
fist
Yeah.
pumping, like, let's
Right.
go, You got to capture that stuff, but yeah.
Rightfully so, though. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so I just Mark, we got you for a couple minutes. I wanted to kind of ask you about like custom pieces. Um,
Sure.
how do you like? Do you have a market for to be able to make custom pieces? Or are you able to kind of take on like custom like, whether it be like a consignment piece or something that somebody's like looking for you specifically to build for them? Is there a space for that right now at Kraken?
There is. I mean, it's tough because I mean, honestly, my price points are not inexpensive on my items that I create, right? And then we start going custom and even smaller quantities, it makes the price higher.
Right.
I kind of take on certain ones depending on certain things. Like it could be somebody that I know, and if it's somebody that I know and has done a lot for me, I'm gonna step up and do stuff for them. It could be something that's interesting to me. So, I mean, there are times I can't take credit for every single design I've ever done. There's been times where people have approached me with like, "Hey, I want to do a custom this. Have you ever thought about it?" I'm like, "No, that's freaking cool." And I'll do it custom for them. I'll maybe make the prototype for them, and next thing you know, I have a 50 piece drop coming out of it, right? And it's their idea, and they're cool with that. They get the prototype, and then I take off with the rest of it from there. So I do custom putters as well. Is a big part of my business. Um, the tough part about it is it's tough to set up a machine for a one of one.
Yeah.
So It's a little bit easier if somebody, says they want, a ball marker, it's round, but it has some inlays. That's a little bit easier to conceive than maybe an organic shape where I need to build a fixture to hold it in a vise or something like that to accommodate it. And that's where the prices start really kind of shooting up is when, somebody wants something that's really interesting and unique. And I agree, but to build it, you need custom fixtures and in some instances, custom tooling to even be able to tackle a project like that. So all those things can kind of inflate costs, but custom is certainly a space I play in. Maybe not as much now as I did early on, just because from a volume perspective, I'm doing a lot more now than I did 5 years ago. But no, I certainly fit them in, and there's always times in the business where you have a little bit more free time, and or somebody comes up with a concept that like, yeah, I actually kind of want to do that, and let's test it out with you and see if it works. And if it does, then maybe I'll do it as a drop at some point. So yeah, custom's certainly part of the business for sure.
I feel like I might be in the inbox with some creative ideas or something like that for you, Mark. So hopefully I'm not
We're on the design board. So.
Yeah, hopefully I'm not flooding your messages too much with people who are listening to us at this point that just want to come up with a bunch of creative ideas to try and get that first piece, But yeah, I was kind of curious because they're obviously like people are looking at the craftsmanship. I'm sure there's questions about that. Cost is obviously like one thing that's always involved in these things, but
sure,
if you can kind of get those like special 1 of 1 or 1 of 5 putters or whatever it may be, I think that means a lot to a lot of people too, right? So
absolutely.
But Mark, man, we really appreciate it. This was great. This was a good conversation. It was really cool to like learn about one of the just your background. You're one of the more creative guys in the space for sure, creating some of the best pieces. So appreciate you making some time. We're going to be putting this one out in less than 48 hours now. So before we let you go, can we ask you about any pieces that might be coming up? I know you like to keep them close to the chest, but any pieces that might be coming up for anybody who's interested?
Yeah, so I got the putter drop. There'll be 5 of them. All I'll say is they're really intricate. So that's something to be on the lookout for. I have my little design board up here. I have a putter design that's based off of my brake rotor ball marker.
Okay.
It's going to be really, really interesting. That will be early 2025 that I drop that. And then I have a divot tool that I'm working on right now that looks like a skeleton key from like an old house or something like that. So that's pretty intricate as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of projects. There's about 7 or 8 in the works because I get bored and I shift to the next one and then I'll work my way back. But there's a lot getting done right now.
Well, Mark, we appreciate it, man. And you're in Acushnet, like you mentioned, right? Massachusetts,
yeah.
Yeah.
Acushnet.
So I was thinking about coming down that way, but I think I'm actually gonna be a little bit south of you in the next couple of weeks. But anytime I'm in the area, man, I might reach out and stop by and check out the shop. I think it'd be pretty
stop
cool.
by, check out the shop. We'll play some Cape Cod golf. You'll love it. Right on the ocean.
I was just down there, a couple months ago. Like I went kind of like right up the whole hook. It was Cape Cod's a special spot, man. It was a lot of fun. Didn't play any golf, but
great courses.
Beautiful spot. I'll bring the sticks and we'll play some golf. But thank you, Mark. This was great, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
He's out in my ball in the course where I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross, worst case scenario.